Chapter 2 Adam Part 4 of the Legends of the Jews, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1 by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. The Punishment. As long as Adam stood naked, casting about for means of escape from his embarrassment, God did not appear unto him, for one should not, strive to see a man in the hour of his disgrace. He waited until Adam and Eve had covered themselves with fig leaves. But even before God spoke to him, Adam knew what was impending. He heard the angels announce, God betaketh himself unto those that dwell in paradise. He heard more too. He heard what the angels were saying to one another about his fall, and what they were saying to God. In astonishment, the angels exclaimed, What? He still walks about in paradise? He is not yet dead? Whereupon God, I said to him, In the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Now ye know not what manner of day I meant, one of my days of 1,000 years, or one of your days. I will give him one of my days. He shall have 930 years to live, and 70 to leave to his descendants. When Adam and Eve heard God approaching, they hid among the trees, which would not have been possible before the fall. Before he committed his trespass, Adam's height was from the heavens to the earth, but afterward it was reduced to 100 ells. Another consequence of his sin was the fear Adam felt when he heard the voice of God. Before his fall, it had not disquieted him in the least. Hence it was that when Adam said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid. God replied, Aforetime thou wert not afraid, and now thou art afraid? God refrained from reproaches at first. Standing at the gate of paradise, he but asked, Where art thou, Adam? Thus did God desire to teach man a rule of polite behavior, never to enter the house of another without announcing himself. It cannot be denied the words, Where art thou? Were pregnant with meaning. They were intended to bring home to Adam the vast difference between his latter and his former state, between his supernatural size then and his shrunken size now, between the lordship of God over him then and the lordship of the serpent over him now. At the same time, God wanted to give Adam the opportunity of repenting of his sin, and he would have received divine forgiveness for it. But so far from repenting of it, Adam slandered God and uttered blasphemies against him. When God asked him, Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee thou shouldst not eat? He did not confess his sin but excused himself with the words, quote, "O Lord of the world, as long as I was alone, I did not fall into sin, but as soon as this woman came to me, she tempted me." End quote. God replied, quote, "I gave her unto thee as a help, and thou art ungrateful when thou accusest her, saying, She gave me of the tree. Thou shouldst not have obeyed her, for thou art the head and not she." End quote. God, who knows all things, had foreseen exactly this, and He did not create Eve until Adam had asked Him for a helpmate, so that He might not have apparently good reason for reproaching God with having created woman. As Adam tried to shift the blame for his misdeed from himself, so also Eve. She, like her husband, did not confess her transgression and pray for pardon, which would have been granted to her. Gracious as God is, He did not pronounce the doom upon Adam and Eve until they showed themselves stiff-necked. Not so with the serpent. God inflicted the curse upon the serpent without hearing his defense, for the serpent is a villain, and the wicked are good debaters. If God had questioned him, the serpent would have answered, quote, "Thou didst give them a command, and I did contradict it. Why did they obey me and not thee?" End quote. Therefore, God did not enter into an argument with the serpent, but straightway decreed the following 10 punishments. The mouth of the serpent was closed, and his power of speech taken away. His hands and feet were hacked off. The earth was given him as food. He must suffer great pain in sloughing his skin. Enmity is to exist between him and man. If he eats the choicest viands, or drinks the sweetest beverages, they all change into dust in his mouth. The pregnancy of the female serpent lasts 7 years. Men shall seek to kill him as soon as they catch sight of him. Even in the future world, where all beings will be blessed, he will not escape the punishment decreed for him. He will vanish from out of the Holy Land if Israel walks in the ways of God. Furthermore, God spake to the serpent, quote, "I created thee to be king over all animals, cattle, and the beasts of the field alike, but thou wast not satisfied. Therefore thou shalt be cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. I created thee of upright posture, but thou wast not satisfied. Therefore thou shalt go upon thy belly. I created thee to eat the same food as man, but thou wast not satisfied. Therefore thou shalt eat dust all the days of thy life. Thou didst seek to cause the death of Adam in order to espouse his wife. Therefore I will put enmity between thee and the woman." End quote. How true it is! He who lusts after what is not his due, not only does he not attain his desire, but he also loses what he has. The angels had been present when the doom was pronounced upon the serpent, for God had convoked a Sanhedrin of 71 angels when He sat in judgment upon him. So the execution of the decree against him was entrusted to the angels.